It says the battery's full.
This is a concept I've played with before, but this is my first time explaining it in this exact manner, so it is going to take a little bit of figuring out. So essentially, at your full extended lunge, right here, when I'm leaning into the wall, there is, when I push on the wall, right, and then I relax, or hang on, let me reset this so that it's perfect. Right, so here, I push on the wall, and then if I slump into the wall, see how I don't move, right? Because my structure is holding me upright. If my shoulder's out of cant, and I relax, I fold that way. If my elbow's out of structure and I relax, I fold that way, right? So when you're talking about what we're building with our structure, and what we're trying to accomplish with our lunge, it's essentially that we're taking all of those parts of our anatomy that are bent to be fluid, and we're straightening them one at a time and locking them into structure to ensure that they're solid. Because when I try to lock my structure all at once, if I'm not practiced with those steps, you get something like this, where see how everything has just started to fall apart? But if you start to build a structure of, okay, fingers and wrist, what does that solid structure look like, right? It looks like, and let's grab some.
I just want to see. I'm going to pull it back a little bit.
Fingers and wrist. What does solid structure for that look like? With a sword, the answer is easy. With an open hand, it's more complicated. So grab, and I'm less versed at studying. So with a sword, what is good structure from your hand?
With a sword?
Yep.
What is good structure from your hand?
That's a pretty, right there, right?
Right.
That's something you know how to do. All you're doing when I'm talking about using your hand first, is you're just bringing that structure forward. But as you do, feel how your elbow now starts to move.
Right.
Right? So it should ideally be a chain in the sense that all things pull each other. So if you face me for a second, and we're away from the wall. Okay. Right? So face me in front of the sword. This is relax completely. This is what a proper lunge should feel like. Point up, on guard, relax completely. Right?
Right.
You feel those engagements happening.
Do it again.
Relax completely. Your legs were not relaxed. Okay? Step. Yeah. Now, here's where you're mistaken in the way that you're using your step. A step is not front foot, back foot. That is not how I want you to think about step. That is a modern walking step. A step is your foot coming up and going down. And when I'm talking about walking is falling, controlled falling, right? Let go of that control for a lunge and see what happens. So what I want you to do is just pick up your foot and fall. Right? So put your sword down for a second, because you don't necessarily want to be holding it if this goes less than I planned. Right? So just pick up your foot and fall. Yeah, that is the footwork. Whenever you do something where you involve your back foot, now you see how you picked your foot up? Wrong. Drop. Drop and let your leg come forward. Yeah, again, what you're still doing right now is you're going, and I can see the tension in your body go. Do not inhale, just exhale. Right? My foot's not really coming up. It's just losing contact with the ground. Rice paper. Better. Yes. Now.
Inhale or exhale.
No, but that is not necessarily an inherent part of this. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. You feel how smooth that is to just hang with the gravity. Yeah. And you pull the other foot forward if you want to, but don't ever do it unless you intend to. Because then you're not drilling a choice, you're drilling an action. Right? Here's a very, very unpleasant thing that you should to practice if you want this to be a good skill set. Lunge, and when you recover, do not let your front foot touch. My front foot is not touching the ground. Nope.
You're not being with.
I am literally not making contact with the ground in the slightest bit. So
Looks like yours.
I know, because it's a part of the weight control, because if I need to be weightless, dialogue, words, hard. If I have to take weight back to lunge, my weight goes in two different directions. All I'm doing is letting the weight that's already here move me forward. I don't even have to push off with this leg. If I really want a super explosive fluid lunge, I will definitely push off of that back leg, aid gravity. But 90% of the time I lunge in the SCA, this is a pretty inactive joint. All it's really doing is keeping my connection to the ground, because all I'm letting myself do in the lunge is just fall. And when I recover, and I'm going to exaggerate this, right? Falling. Lunging is just falling and catching yourself. It's like every other step you've ever done in your life. So try lunging, and when you recover, don't let your front foot touch the ground. And then lunge again.
So, like that. But wait, you mean
When you recover, right?
Okay.
You lunge, your foot has to land, otherwise you're going to face plant.
Right. That's the part that
Oh, gotcha. When you recover, when you come back to standing,
okay.
the foot does not touch the ground. So
Okay.
right
Oh,
here,
there. Okay,
my
yeah.
foot is not touching.
That's
Yeah.
what confused me.
Oh, yeah, no, that's my bad.
How can you not have your weight on the foot? I see you pushing off.
Yeah, so here,
Yeah.
when you recover, don't let the foot touch.
Okay.
And then lunge again.
Okay, so.
Yeah, feel how high up that foot is, how unstable that weight is?
What do you mean by mistake?
You're shaking,
Yeah, okay.
right? Watch.
Okay.
There is no shake,
Right.
right? Why is there no shake?
Because your structure is good, because you're used to it.
Being used to it definitely helps, and this is an exercise that builds structure, both effectively and muscle mass actually in this back leg, which is really nice. But essentially the reason that my weight is not, because the reason I am not unbalanced, the reason I'm not losing control of my balance is because there's no point where my center of gravity or my weight is not under my control.
Okay.
What you want to think about it as is you're just taking the carriage of your hips and just going, and using little bits of leg and little bits of gravity and momentum to just move it back and forth. If from here I push off,
Right.
I lose control.
Right.
When you recover, it's not that this leg pushes off.
Right.
It has to push off because you're fighting friction and gravity and all these
Right.
heavy things.
You're really just picking it up.
You're picking it up and letting this leg pull you in.
Right.
One of the things that we used to do when I did Olympic, that was part of the reason we used this offhand, is because when we lunged, it came out. When we recovered, I was literally told you have a fire pole stuck through your leg, stuck through the tip of your foot. You were gripping that fire pole. Pull. 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 Right? Open. Close. Open. Close. This is the action of the lunge. And all I'm doing to open, right, is I'm not going, open! Because my lunge fell apart the second I landed.
Right.
I'm opening by just,
Relax. You're letting your leg fall rather than
Yeah.
doing this explosive push off.
and there's no difference, right? In terms of the amount of speed that I can get out of it, it looks slow from the side, but when I'm doing it in real,
Right.
that is a falling lunge.
Right. And it's a lot more under your control, and it's a lot more, yeah.
And because I'm not paying attention to what my legs are doing, my hand is free to do sneaky shit like, and quintuple disengage as I'm just letting the gravity take me, because I don't have to go, bang! So that's what we've wandered far afield.
We have.
It's
But
not
it's,
bad
honestly,
territory.
I don't think, no, I agree. That tightening up my footwork is a good plan, tightening up my lunge.
Alright, so, exhale and fall. Better, yes. Now, feel that thump that you're landing with, that,
Yeah.
right? This is the way I want you to train your momentum control. This is not how a lunge functions. Because when I'm full lunging, I'm primarily landing with my toes. because they're my shock absorbers. That's the reason we have them. But when I practiced lunging, when I first started drilling lunging, I was told, heel, toe. Heel, toe. Because what I'm doing is I'm stopping. So if I just go clomp, feel how that my energy slams to the ground. I get some recoil. It's going to do it's eventually going to do nasty things to my knee, particularly if I let this happen. I'm going to get that recoil, I get that thunk, and I don't have the recovery that is necessary for this lunge, right? What I want you to do, but if you start to absorb your weight here and roll it onto your leg, and onto your toes, feel how more controlled that felt?
Yeah.
There's
Yeah, I like to fight, and this was something that I kind of took over from heavy. I tend to fight on the balls of my feet with my heels up. But
Fighting is, don't stop doing that.
Yeah.
Fighting is done on the balls of the feet. Because when I train advances, I train them 1, 2, 1, 2, because this is the tempo of the weight distribution. This is how my momentum flows. Yeah, see? Right there. But here's the thing. Here's what you're doing. You're going 1, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Not right. Because 1, 2, now my weight is not where I want it to be. My feet are too far apart, I'm unstable, and my weight is going places I don't want it to. As opposed to 1, my weight is right now, so right here, my weight's right between my feet. Right now, my weight's about here. Right? It's not that much different. It's a little bit different, but it's not that much different. But when I do 2, bang, right down the center. If I do 1, 2, okay, it's between my feet aren't under my shoulders anymore. And then 3 recenters it. We're minimizing the amount of time our weight is not under our control. And we do that by connecting to the heel and rolling forward onto the toes. When we drill. When you fight, your body knows how to do it. When you fight and you've been drilling this long enough, your body just does it. So you get to here, right? I get to this point where normally my heel would be connecting because now my weight's about here and I can't stay there, right? And I stay. And I just follow through. That, again, I want you to literally count it out loud. 1, 2, and step. Feel, yeah? Did you do it right? No. Make noise with your feet. 1, 2. Toes and feet, listen to your toes and your back foot making sound at the same time. Yes! Yep. Still, too late. Yep. 1, 2. No? Yeah, right? These are the parts where you break it, where you tell your body the things it's been doing for years. Yes! Now, how did that feel?
it felt good, actually.
Yeah.
I see exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
But yeah, and you have to just break it down.
You have to make your muscles think about what they're doing.
And avoid the...
Yeah. Yes! You know when you do it right. You don't have to listen. You can just feel it, right? So now, we worked on the step. How does that translate to our lunge? It translates to our lunge because that same momentum control is here, right? Right now, my weight and my momentum are still, it's a lunge, so it's going to be more out of my control than it's going to be for a step. That's why lunges work, right? But as opposed to doing this, right, I'm going from all my weight is in my control here to all my weight is in my control here, and I have no control in the middle because I'm going and just dropping it, right? But if I'm going, right, the difference is, and when you'll come to this too, is how slowly can you move, right? I want you to actually try lunge as slowly as you possibly can.
Right. So...
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
So...
Yeah. Now, relatively quickly, you felt how you had a little bit of bob to your motion,
Okay.
right? This is as slowly as I can launch, and I haven't done this for a long time, so forgive me. Right? here's the point where you're gonna start to break down and undo some of the things I've already been telling you to do. When you relax, this leg relaxes, this leg does not. This leg is your bungee cord. You don't want it too taut or you're gonna snap immediately. But you want it to at some point be able to catch you. And if I'm in the middle of my lunge and I suddenly decide this is not a good idea, this is my control mechanism. This is the leg that goes, okay, right? And brings my weight and momentum back into my control. There I'm canting it with the body weight, which is not great. But if I want to, let's say I'm lunging to hit you and halfway through the lunge, something changes, right? So if I lunge against you, full committed lunge, bang, right? But halfway through my legs, I see, oh great, that's not a good idea. Now because this leg is pulling back, my foot hits that much sooner. It's also an artifact of how quickly you're in control of how this leg moves, so that I can put it down to stop me. But the foot can't do it all by itself, because all of my weight is going into it. And this leg cannot handle all of me. That's not what it's built for. This leg needs to do at least some of the work, so that I get a smooth, fluid lunge, right? That's completely in my control. You ever see Chris Serpentius do?
Yeah.
This is the training that Olympic fencing, that we both got from Olympic fencing, and that when we fought each other, we go, bang, right? This is the same kind of testing footwork that your blade is accompanying. So, try to do that lunge one more time, and then I'm going to stop harping on it with the two, and again, count it out, make it slow, make it deliberate. 1, 2, make it a shallow lunge. That's going to make it easier to control. Better? Yeah, let that, and really what you're doing, imagine this whole situation is a giant, like, rocking chair leg. Rocking to a stop. I'm not.
And I'm trying to keep my weight centered about.
Right. Yeah, that looked good. Did that feel good? Yeah, you're in that, you have that boop, 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 boop. You have your, yeah, and then you start to get that shoulder fall on that too. Right. Sword. Let's go back to this. I'll grab some water in the meantime.
Sure.